I don't know if you heard this yet, but I just heard backstage. The impeachment hearings today reached a new low. You hear about it? I just heard that at the hearing today, one of the Democrats' witnesses actually used the President and First Lady's 13-year-old son to justify their partisan impeachment. Democrats should be ashamed. Enough is enough. This sham impeachment should end, and Congress should get back to work on the issues that matter to the American people.
Come on, they're just such bad actors.
Awful.
Then
He's
you know
awful.
the thing is, if you're going to play a
Just
villain,
go big or go home.
I mean, go back to the first Die Hard and look what Alan Rickman did. He was such a great villain. Was he not the best?
This was awful.
Was Gruber not the best villain? But these guys, I saw Ted Cruz yesterday, and I'm like, dude, you need to go to acting class. Nobody believes you but Mike Pence there. And that's what they hurt the child for partisan. No, she didn't. She used a bad pun.
Yeah.
But then he goes into the whole, let's end this impeachment word, debacle for. They're such bad actors.
Yes, they are. But let me explain this.
That's the least of it. Boy, I sure did miss Alan Rickman, but go ahead, Mika.
That was Mike Pence last week latching onto that wordplay delivered by an impeachment witness when illustrating the difference between presidents and monarchs using Barron Trump's name. It sparked very faux outrage on the right, including a tweet from the First Lady Melania Trump, whose platform is Be Best, who wrote, quote, "A minor child deserves privacy and should be kept out of politics. Pamela Karlan, you should be ashamed of your very angry and obviously biased public pandering and using a child to do it." Well,
seriously,
who would do that?
I mean, first of all, they didn't do that. But let's just pretend they did attack a child. Who in the world would attack a child? That's heinous.
You get
nobody would attack a child. Because if so, Melania then would have to really bring out her Be Best artillery, Mika.
Yeah, this is not being best. The president apparently didn't get his wife's message. He just attacked teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg moments ago on Twitter. He said, "So ridiculous. Greta must work on her anger management problem. Then go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. Chill, Greta, chill." That's after the 16-year-old was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year, beating out the president. And by the way, the president is averaging a tweet a minute this morning. Something is clearly on his mind. He needs to stop watching television. Jonathan Lemire.
I wonder, Jonathan Lemire, maybe Donald will do what he did at clubhouses and make those fake Time magazines. Maybe he'll make himself fake Time Person of the Year. But again, think of the hypocrisy. The professor didn't attack their child at all. It was a pun. But here, Donald Trump is actually attacking a child. Will Melania come out and criticize him today?
Seems unlikely, Joe. You're right. The professor made a bad pun, one that she explained later and said she didn't mean any harm from it. But we know how obsessed the president is with Time Magazine, the cover in particular. He has made fake covers that dot the lines of his clubhouses in Florida and New Jersey. He was very proud when he was named Person of the Year a couple of years ago and has lobbied for it since and been disappointed when he didn't get it. And he has gone after Greta repeatedly. This is, of course, a teenage climate activist who has sailed around the world calling attention to the issue, saying adults have let her down. She's someone who has spoken very openly about the fact that she's on the autism spectrum, and that the president and other people on the right have mocked her, and they've gone after her. And again today, the president turns to Twitter among the barrage of tweets, this tweet storm mostly about impeachment, and another one where he promoted his time hit Mar-a-Lago, where he'll be going for Christmas for 2.5 weeks later this month. But he decided to attack her. But I am curious as to what good old-fashioned movie, quote, he would like her to see. Perhaps Die Hard, Joe, which, as most people think, is a Christmas film.
Of course, it's a Christmas film.
Really, it is a Christmas film.
Of course.
It is a Christmas film.
Party
and somebody, by the way, disparaged.
Yeah.
Somebody disparaged Love Actually yesterday. I just want to go on the record as it's a classic.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I'm with you on that. We'll put on the record again what we said when this all happened a couple weeks ago. Leave presidents' minor children out of the conversation. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, so that's right there.
Not even in harmless puns.
Not
Yes,
even in a
we
pun.
agree with
Just leave their names out of your mouth. Second thing is, I talked to somebody who was in the room yesterday when Time Magazine had an audience with the president in the Oval Office earlier this year. They had an hour with him, and they said all he wanted to talk about was Time Person of the Year, and he was effectively making his case to be Time's Person of the Year. There's a reason he's made fake covers. Oh. It's all he wants. So he didn't get it. So the collateral damage in that is that he's going to attack a 16-year-old who, by the way, he says she has an anger management problem and all that. I get she's a public figure now. I get you don't think climate change is real, et cetera, et cetera. Those are your choices. But she also has Asperger's syndrome. She's on the autism spectrum. So for you to attack her delivery and the way she speaks and performs in public is particularly gross, on top of the fact that you're the most powerful person on the face of the earth attacking a teenager.
It's just, I'll leave it there.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.